You're a P-51 Mustang pilot at 25,000 feet. You are the king of the sky. Then, something flashes past your canopy, like you're standing still. It has no propeller. It's 100 miles per hour faster than your best fighter. It's the German Me-262, and to the men who saw it, this wasn't just a new weapon. It was impossible. August 16th, 1944. 25,000 feet above the forests south of Stuttgart. The air is thin and so cold it feels like a solid object pressing against the plexiglass canopy. Inside the cockpit of his P-51 D Mustang, Captain C.J, Harris stamps his boots on the metal floor, trying to force blood back into his freezing feet. The oxygen mask, smelling of stale rubber and his own fear, feels welded to his face. His world is a 360-degree sphere of vibrating metal and blinding blue. His ears are filled with the constant, deafening roar of the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine just a few feet in front of him, a sound so familiar it's almost silence. Below, a vast, rolling carpet of white clouds. Above, the deep, dark cobalt of the stratosphere. And in the middle of it all, the formation. Boxcar flight. Keep it tight. We've got stragglers at 6 o'clock. C.J. mutters, his thumb clicking the radio transmitter on his throttle. His eyes never stop moving. A twitch to the left, scanning the sun's glare. A glance in his mirrors, checking his 6. A drop of his gaze to the big friends, the lumbering B-17G flying fortresses of the 8th Air Force. They are the mission. They are the target. C.J. and his squadron, the little friends, are just the sheepdogs. This is C.J.'s 60th mission. He's an old man at 23. He has seen everything the Luftwaffe can throw at him. He's danced with the nimble Messerschmitt 109 seconds over Oschersleben. He's gone head-to-head with the heavily armed Focke-Wulf 190 seconds, their yellow-painted noses spitting 20mm cannon shells. He respects them, but he doesn't fear them. Not in his Cadillac of the skies. His Mustang is the apex predator. He knows the rules of this three-dimensional knife fight. He knows the physics, the energy, the angle of attack. Bandits, bandits, 2 o'clock high, a whole mess of 'em. The radio explodes in a burst of static and panic. C.J.'s head snaps up. There they are. Not a mess, but a disciplined wedge of 190 seconds, dropping out of the sun, just as he would have. Boxcar 3, you and 4 take 'em high. 1 and 2, stay with me. Hit the brakes, boys. C.J. chops his throttle and yanks his P-51 into a brutal climbing turn, the G-force smashing him into his seat. The sky, moments before a placid blue, erupts into a swirling chaos of smoke trails, tracers, and falling metal. A 190 flashes past his canopy, its pilot a fleeting shadow. C.J. kicks his rudder, lines up the pipper of his gun sight, and squeezes the trigger. The Mustang shudders as its 6.50 caliber machine guns tear the air apart. He sees his tracers walk across the 190's wing. A puff of black smoke. The German plane falters, snaps into an inverted dive, and vanishes. No time to confirm the kill. Skipper, you got one on your tail. Brake, brake. His wingman, Rabbit, screams. C.J. brakes left, so hard his vision tunnels. The roar of another engine flashes past him. This is the war he knows. This is the deadly, predictable waltz. The fight lasts maybe 90 seconds. The 190 seconds, having made their pass and lost their energy advantage, dive for the cloud deck. The immediate threat is over. Boxcar, reform on me, C.J. calls, his breathing ragged. He scans the sky. One of the B-17 seconds is lagging, its number 3 engine trailing a thick plume of black smoke. Blue, leader to straggler, you're losing oil. We're... C.J. stops. His eyes, trained to see everything, catch a movement, a speck. But it's wrong. It's at their altitude, 25,000 feet, but it's moving, faster than anything he's ever seen. It's not diving. It's in level flight. Rabbit, you see this? 9 o'clock, level. See what, Skipper? I got nothing. It's closer now. It's not a speck. It's a plane. But it's impossible. It has no propeller. The thought is so absurd. C.J. thinks he's hypoxic, starved of oxygen. But his blinker is showing a steady flow. The object is a sleek, shark-like fuselage painted in a mottled green and grey. It has 2 pods, one under each wing, and from the back of these pods, fire. Or something. A blurry, shimmering heat. It passes them. It doesn't pass them like a 190. It slingshots past them. C.J. estimates its speed at 500, maybe 550 miles per hour. His Mustang, with the throttle pushed to the firewall, can maybe touch 440. My God. C.J. whispers, his microphone still open. The impossible plane doesn't even acknowledge them. It's not interested in the fighters. It flies straight at the crippled B-17. Big friend. Brake. Hard right. C.J. screams. It's useless. The German jet, the word isn't even in his vocabulary, closes the last mile in the time it takes C.J. to blink. Puffs of smoke, bright orange, erupt from its nose. But not the .50 caliber sparkle he's used to. These are slow, like orange softballs. The B-17 disintegrates. It doesn't catch fire. It doesn't spiral gracefully. One moment it is a 30-ton fortress. The next, its entire tail section is gone, sheared off by the 30mm cannon shells. The plane snaps in half, and the air is full of falling bodies, wings, and wreckage. C.J. sits, frozen, his Mustang bucking in the shockwave of the explosion. He watches the shark plane, its pass complete. It pulls up, not in a graceful arc, but in a powerful vertical climb that defies gravity. It's a dot in seconds. Then it's gone. The radio is silent. A dead, cold silence, broken only by the hiss of static. The other pilots saw it. No one knows what to say. C.J. finally keys his mic. His voice is a stranger's. Boxcar leader. Did anyone get a look at that thing? Rabbit's voice comes back, high and cracked. Skipper. It had no prop. It was a goddamn ghost. The flight back to RAF Leiston is the longest of C.J.'s life. The sprawling aerial battle has evaporated, leaving only the cold, empty sky and the drone of their own engines. The chatter is gone. No jokes, no victory rolls, no complaints about the food, just the occasional, grim call-out. Boxcar 3, you're weaving. Tighten it up. Every man is glued to his mirrors, every speck of dust on the canopy, every distant wisp of cirrus cloud, every glint of sunlight off a fellow Mustang's wing is, for a split second, it, the ghost. They are flying with their heads on a swivel, but they aren't looking for Focke-Wulfs. They are looking for something that shouldn't exist. C.J. tries to process the physics. An aircraft with no propeller needs, what? Pure thrust? He'd seen newsreels of experimental rockets. They were clumsy, explosive things that flew in a straight line for a few seconds. This was a weapon, a predator, as agile and precise as his own Mustang, but with the speed of a cannon shell. He'd lost a bomber, not to Flak, not to a 109 that got lucky. He'd lost it because he was, for the first time in his career, completely and utterly outclassed. He and his $50,000 fighter had been reduced to spectators. They crossed the English coast. The green fields of Suffolk a welcome, solid sight. The wheels hit the pierced steel planking of the runway with a reassuring thump. C.J. parks his Mustang, the Miss Mary Lou, and kills the Merlin. The sudden, ringing silence is a shock. He sits for a full minute, the smell of hot oil and glycol filling his nostrils, his hands shaking slightly. He finally unclips his mask and gulps the damp, earthy air. He joins his pilots on the hard stand. Rabbit is already on the ground, smoking a cigarette with trembling hands. The other 2 men, Pops and Junior, are just staring at their planes. All right, C.J. says, his voice flat. Debriefing. Let's just go. The Nissan hut is thick with cigarette smoke and the smell of stale coffee. Major Thorne, the Group S2 intelligence officer, is a man C.J. respects. Thorne is all business, a former professor who wears his spectacles slightly askew. "All right, Captain," Thorne says, not looking up from his forms. "Walk me through it. B-17 seconds from the 100th. Target was Stuttgart. How was the flak?" "Moderate. Accurate over the IP," C.J. says, sitting on a wooden bench, his flight crew around him. "We engaged, I'd say 2 Gruppen of 190 seconds. We scattered them. Confirmed 2 kills, 1 probable. Then we lost the straggler. Hog's breath." Thorne's pencil stops. "Lost it? To bandits?" "Yes, sir, but not 190 seconds." 109 seconds? A late Model G? C.J. looks at Rabbit. Rabbit looks at the floor. C.J. takes a breath. "Major, the plane that hit them had no propellers." The hood goes silent. The typing from a clerk in the corner stops. Thorne slowly looks up, his eyes focusing on C.J. for the first time. He carefully sets his pencil down. "Captain, you're aware you are in a debriefing, right? Not the mess hall?" "Yes, sir. I am." "And you're telling me? An aircraft with no propellers shot down a B-17? "That's what I'm telling you, sir," C.J. says, his voice hardening. "It didn't just shoot it down, it vaporized it. It came past us, Major. We were at 25,000 feet, full throttle. We were doing maybe 380, indicated. This thing, it passed us like we were parked on the ground. It must have been doing 550. Level flight." Rabbit finally speaks up, his voice reedy. "It was like a candle flame, sir. It was, I don't know, it was pushed by fire. It had 2 engines, I guess, under the wings, and it made this sound." "What sound?" Thorne asks, leaning forward. "That's just it," Rabbit says, exasperated. "It didn't. We were on the radio. It was quiet. It didn't roar like a Merlin. It hissed, like a steam pipe." Thorne stares at them for a long 10 seconds. He rubs the bridge of his nose, then picks up his pencil again. "Captain Harris," he says, his voice patient, patronizing. "You've flown 60 missions. You're one of the best sticks in the group. You know what high-altitude combat does. Hypoxia, G-force. The light plays tricks." "This wasn't a trick, Major." C.J. stands up, the bench scraping loudly. "It had 30mm cannons. The shells were orange. They were slow. I saw them. They hit Hog's breath, and its entire empennage just ceased to exist, and then it climbed. It climbed straight up. It was at 30,000 feet before I could even think about turning with it." Thorne sighs. He opens a drawer and pulls out a small, dog-eared pamphlet. The cover reads, "Circular 41 to 15, unidentified enemy aircraft." "We've been getting rumors, Captain, whispers from the 8th's intelligence, reports of rocket planes, most of it dismissed as combat fatigue or propaganda. You're the first pilot, the first ace, to report it." "So you believe me?" C.J. asks. "I believe you saw something," Thorne says, choosing his words. "Something that doesn't fit the forms. How's this? I'll write down your report. Encounter with unidentified aircraft, believed to be jet-propelled. We'll send it up the chain." C.J. knows what that means. It'll be filed away. Buried. He looks at his men. They saw it. He saw it. They watched 10 men die in an instant, killed by a machine from the future. "It's real, Major," C.J. says, picking up his helmet. "And we have nothing that can touch it. You better tell command, because if they build more of those, this war is a long way from over." He walks out into the fading English daylight, leaving Major Thorne staring at a blank spot on his wall. For the first time, C.J. Harris isn't afraid of dying. He's afraid of what's coming. Major Thorne's report doesn't get buried. In a windowless room in High Wycombe, at the headquarters of the 8 Fighter Command, C.J.'s debriefing is laid on a table next to 14 others. All from the last 3 weeks. All identical. No propellers. Passed us like we were standing still. Fired flaming balls or rockets. Hissing or whistling sound. The rumours of Circular 41 to 15 have become a torrent. Photo reconnaissance, Spitfires, screaming over Lechfeld and Rechlin Laz at 40,000 feet, have snapped grainy, high-altitude images of them. Rows of sleek, shark-like aircraft, parked neatly on the hardstands. The weapon has a name. The analysts, cross-referencing factory reports, prisoner interrogations, and signals intercepts, have given it a designation: Messerschmitt Me 262. The Germans, the reports say, have two names for it. The pilots call it the Schwalbecher swallow, a bird of speed and grace. But the propaganda ministry, in a more ominous turn, has dubbed it the Sturmvogel, the Stormbird. To the men at High Wycombe, it is a strategic nightmare. Every calculation they have, every model for the air war, is based on the performance of the P-51 Mustang and the P-47 Thunderbolt. Those planes were designed to defeat the WW-190. They did defeat the WW-190. This is a next-generation weapon. It renders their entire billion-dollar air fleet obsolete. General Spaatz, commander of U.S. Strategic Air Forces, sees the reports and demands an answer to a single terrifying question. Why don't they have thousands of them? If the Germans had this machine in 1943, the D-Day landings would have been impossible. The B-17 seconds would have been swept from the skies. The war would have been lost. They don't know how close it was. A year earlier, April 1943, Marienziel Airfield, Germany. The man climbing into the cockpit of the May 262 V4 prototype is not some unknown test pilot. It is General der Jagdflieger Adolf Galland. He is the face of the Luftwaffe fighter armor matinee idol, a tactical genius, and one of the most respected aces in the Reich. He straps in. The two Junkers Jumo 004 engines are spooled up, their high-pitched whine totally alien. He pushes the throttles forward. There is no prop torque pulling him left. No thunderous piston engine roar. Just a smooth, gathering rush of power and that strange, tearing hiss. The plane accelerates with a violence he has never experienced. He lifts off. He climbs, and he is in heaven. He puts the machine through its paces. It is responsive, it is stable, and it is fast. So fast, he feels he is being pulled through the sky by an unseen force. When he lands, his hands are shaking, not from fear, but from revelation. He files his report directly to Hermann Göring. His words are not those of a sober military officer, but of a convert. This aircraft is a giant leap forward. It is as if an angel were pushing. He begs Göring, the Führer, anyone who will listen. Stop all other fighter production. Focus every resource on this. Give me 1,262 seconds, and the air war will be over in a month. He is not wrong, but the 262's greatest enemy is not the P-51. It is Adolf Hitler. At a final demonstration in December 1943, Hitler walks around the sleek, predatory fighter. He turns to Willy Messerschmitt and asks a single question, the only question he cares about. Can this swallow, carry bombs? Messerschmitt, desperate for the production contract, stammers, "Yes, mein Führer." Theoretically, it can carry one, perhaps two, 250-kilogram bombs. Hitler's face lights up. He doesn't see a defensive interceptor to save Germany. He sees a Blitzbomber. A wonder weapon to drop bombs on London at 500 miles per hour, too fast for any defences. A terror weapon for revenge. He smashes his fist on the table. This is the Blitzbomber I have been demanding. I order that the Me-262 be produced only as a fighter bomber. Not one will go to the fighter pilots. Galland is horrified. He protests. He argues that putting bomb racks on a 262 is like hitching a racehorse to a plough. It ruins the aerodynamics. It slows it down. It makes it a compromised interceptor and a useless bomber. He is overruled. And so, for all of spring and summer, 1944, the crucial months of the D-Day landings and the breakout in France, the May 262 sits in production hell. Engineers frantically redesign the airframe to hold bombs it was never meant to carry. Test pilots die. Production lines are halted, retooled, and halted again by Allied bombing. The Angel has had its wings clipped by its own creator. It is only now, in the late summer, with the Reich collapsing, that Hitler has relented and allowed a precious few 262 seconds to be released as pure fighters. Back at Leiston, C.J. and his squadron are called into the briefing hut. Major Thorn is there, but so is a full colonel from 8 Fighter Command. The mood is not one of skepticism, it is deadly serious. A new silhouette is tacked to the enemy aircraft board. "All right, you've seen it," the colonel says, his voice like gravel. "Now we're going to tell you how to kill it." A murmur of disbelief. C.J. speaks up. "Colonel, with all due respect, we can't kill it. We can't catch it." "You're right, Captain," the colonel says, pointing at C.J. You don't try to dogfight it. You don't try to outrun it. You don't even try to turn with it. If you find yourself in a level fight with a 262, you are already dead." He pauses, letting the finality of that sink in. But it is not a perfect weapon. It has one glaring, fatal flaw. Those jet engines. The Jumo 004. They are miracles, and they are trash. They last maybe 15 hours before they have to be replaced. They are slow to respond. And they are almost completely powerless at low speed. The room is silent. "It is a shark in the deep water," the colonel says, pacing. "But it is a beached whale on the sand. Its weakest moments are takeoff and landing. That is when we will hunt. Your new mission is not high-altitude escort. Your new mission is to patrol their airfields. Lechfeld, Rhine, Hessepe. You will orbit, miles out, and wait for them to come home." He looks at C.J. "You will be the wolves waiting outside the sheep pen. You will rat catch. You will dive on them when their gear is down, their flaps are out, and they have no speed. It's a dirty, ugly job, but it's the only way." C.J. looks at the map. He looks at the faces of his men. The rules of the waltz have changed. They are no longer knights, jousting in the heavens. They are assassins, waiting in an alley. October 2nd, 1944. 1,500 feet above Rhine Airfield, Germany. The world is a muddy, rain-soaked blur of green and grey. C.J. Harris is flying with his canopy cracked open an inch, the smell of damp earth and cordite filling his oxygen-starved lungs. The roar of his Merlin is almost comforting, a familiar, angry growl in a place he should not be. This is not war. This is an ambush. His squadron, boxcar flight, is spread in a battle-loose formation 10 miles from the main runway at Rhine. They are rat-catching. But to C.J., it feels like they're the bait. The rules of this new game are terrifying. They've flown the entire mission at treetop level, a 2-hour ordeal of screaming over forests, popping up to clear church steeples, and wallowing in air so thick and turbulent it feels like flying through soup. Every nerve is raw. At this altitude, a single 20mm flak gun, hidden in a barn, can end you. There is no time to react. No altitude to trade for speed. Boxcar leader, I got nothing. Rabbit's voice crackles, tight with strain. "This place is dead. Fuel's getting low, Skipper." "Hold your water, Rabbit. We wait," C.J. says. He eyes his own fuel gauge. They have 10 more minutes. 10 minutes to orbit this hornet's nest before they have to turn for home, their bingo fuel line creeping ever closer. The new tactic has yielded nothing but terror. For 3 missions, they have prowled the 262 bases. They've been shot at by hundreds of flak guns, danced with 109 seconds from the landing protection squadrons, and lost 2 more pilots. All for nothing. They have never even seen a 262 on the ground. "Skipper," Pops, the oldest pilot in the flight, calls out. "Look, 5 miles, you're 10 o'clock. Smoke." C.J.'s head snaps. He sees it. Not flak, not a burning plane. He sees trails, but not the white frozen contrails of the upper atmosphere. These are 2 thin parallel lines of dark grey smoke, descending. The jets, they're coming home. Boxcar, drop tanks. The command is quiet, final. C.J. hits the red lever. He feels the 75-gallon tanks detach from his wings, a clean thunk. His Mustang, suddenly lighter, more alive, leaps. Rabbit, you and Pops stay high, cover us from the 109 seconds. Junior, you're on me. We're going in. He pushes his throttle past the gate, into war emergency power. The Merlin screams as the manifold pressure surges, the engine begging him to stop. He's redlining everything. He sees them clearly now. 4 me 262 seconds, in a perfect, sweeping line astern pattern, coming in for their landing. They are low. Their landing gear is down. Tally-ho! C.J. shouts, his voice a guttural roar. I'm on the last man. He dives, his Mustang shaking with speed, his airspeed indicator rocketing past 450. The ground rushes up, a terrifying, detailed map. He is inside the flak zone, the circle of death the colonel warned them about. And then the world ends. The ground explodes. It's not just a few guns. It's the entire forest, the entire airfield, erupting in a solid wall of black, greasy smoke and white-hot flashes. 88mm guns, 37mm, 20mm. Everything the Wehrmacht has is pointing at him. Jesus, Junior screams. Skipper, the ground. It's alive. C.J. ignores him. His world has shrunk to the black cross on the tail of the 262. He's closing. 1,000 yards. 800. The 262 pilot hasn't seen him. His gun sight pipper is floating. Ready. In ready. 600 yards. The flak is deafening. He can hear the thwack, thwack, thwack of shrapnel tearing through his own wings. Fire, fire, fire. He squeezes the trigger. His 50 seconds roar, the tracers leaping across the gap, stitching a perfect line across the 262's left engine. For a second, nothing. Bar. A brilliant flash. The Jumo 004 engine explodes. The 262, its wing sheared clean off, cartwheels violently, hits the runway, and disintegrates in a 300 mile-per-hour ball of fire. Target destroyed! Target destroyed! Junior, brake left. Brake. Skipper, I'm a hit. I'm hit. C.J. yanks his Mustang into a climbing turn, his body crushed by 6 Gs. He looks back. Junior's plane is a torch. The flak has shredded his engine. He's trailing a thick, oily banner of fire. Bail out, Junior! Get out! Get out now! C.J. screams. He watches, helpless, as Junior's plane stalls, snaps, and dives straight into the ground. A second, sickening fireball. Rabbit, Pops, where are you? C.J. yells, his voice cracked with rage. On your 6, Skipper. We got 109 seconds coming down. Get out of the soup. Get out. Now. C.J. kicks his rudder and shoves his stick forward, dropping back to the trees, the flak still chasing him. He flies for a minute, straight and level, his heart a cold stone in his chest. He has done it. He has killed the ghost. He has proven the tactic works. He has also just lost his wingman. The flight home is silent. C.I. lands, his plane a mess, pockmarked with 37mm shrapnel holes. The ground crew chief just whistles. Captain, you're lucky to be alive. C.J. climbs out. He walks to the debriefing hut, the elation of the kill and the acid bile of Junior's death fighting in his throat. Major Thorne meets him at the door. Captain, Thorne says. We heard. First confirmed 262 for the group. Congratulations. C.J. pushes past him, yanks off his helmet, and throws it against the wall. Congratulations? He spits. I traded a pilot for a plane. We traded a Mustang for a kill. That's not a victory, Major. That's just a trade. It's the only trade we've got, son, Thorne says, his voice quiet. We're not trying to win the fight. We're trying to win the war. Get some rest. You're flying again at 0600. November 19th, 1944, 0430 hours. RAF Leiston. The world is cold, black, and smells of diesel fumes and wet wool. C. J. Harris is hunched over a lukewarm cup of watery coffee, his breath fogging in the frigid air of the briefing hut. The pot-bellied stove in the corner glows a dull, angry red, but its heat doesn't reach the pilots. This is the new routine. The rat-catching has become a grim, daily commute. "All right, listen up," Major Thorne says, his voice tired. He taps a map of Münster-Handorf. "The Krauts aren't stupid. They know we're hunting them on the fences. So, they've changed their rules." He points with a wooden stick to red circles drawn all over the map, clustered around the airfield. These are the new Flak batteries. They've pulled 88 seconds and 37 seconds from every other part of the sector and ringed their jet bases. It's a wall. We're calling them Flak alleys. You will not fly straight in. You will not orbit. You will approach from the northeast, use this forest as a mask, and you will get one pass. One. Then you will get out. He turns to a second map. Worse, they're using their prop jockeys, the Schutzstaffeln, as high cover. "Rabbit," he says, nodding at C.J.'s wingman, "you and Pops will be at 15,000 feet. You are not to engage. You are bait. Your job is to spot the 190 seconds and keep them busy. Draw them up, away from the deck." C.J. looks at Rabbit. The name Bait hangs in the smoky air. C.J. Thorne continues. "You and your new wingman, C.J. Glances at the 9-year-old replacement, Kid Mason, who is visibly shaking. "You will go in on the deck, find them, kill them, and get home. Understood? It's a meat grinder, gents. Don't be the meat." 2 hours later, C.J. is at 50 feet, his Miss Mary Lou screaming over a dark, frozen forest. The vibration of the Merlin, pushed to its limit, rattles his teeth. He's flying not by his altimeter, it's useless, this low, but by feel. By the way the trees blur into a solid green wall. Kid is welded to his wing, his terror making him a perfect formation pilot. Boxcar high flight. In position. Rabbit's voice, thin and distant, comes over the radio. "Attic's clear, for now." "Roger," C.J. mutters. "Boxcar low flight, commencing run. Kid, stay sharp. Pop when I pop." He sees the clearing, the edge of the forest. The airfield is 2 miles dead ahead. Now. He hauls back on the stick, his Mustang roaring up to 1,500 feet, just enough to get a view. The world stops being the ground and becomes Flak. It's not the sporadic, targeted fire he's used to. It is a solid, black-grey wall of explosions. It's a barrage, a pre-planned curtain of steel he has to fly through. He can smell the sulfur even through his mask. "Skipper!" Kid screams. "My God!" "Don't look at it. Find a target," C.J. yells, his plane bucking and lurching as shrapnel rings off the airframe like thrown rocks. He sees it. A 262. Just landing. Its wheels are down. It's a perfect, helpless silhouette. "Tally, I'm on him!" He shoves his stick forward, diving into the very heart of the inferno. The pipper of his gun sight is unsteady as the Flak hammers him. "Rabbit, high cover, bandits, 12 o'clock high, a full stuffle." "I see 'em." Rabbit's voice cracks with G-force. "We're engaging. C.J., you've got 10 seconds. C.J. is in an impossible sandwich. The 190 seconds are diving. The 262 is on the ground. The Flak is everywhere. He has to choose. He chooses the jet. He holds the dive. 1,000 yards. 800. The 262 pilot sees him, frantically trying to add power, but the sluggish Jumo engines can't respond. It's a beached whale. Don't throttle back, C.J. thinks. The engines will flame out. He sees the German pilot's canopy. He's close enough to see the man's head. He squeezes. 2. The 50 seconds hit the fuselage. The 262 slews, its landing gear collapsing. It cartwheels, skids, and erupts in a plume of kerosene-bright fire. "Kill! Kill! Kill! Kid, brake! Brake hard!" C.J. yanks his stick, pulling G's that turn his vision grey, the ground and sky swapping places. He hears a new sound, the sharp, angry pop 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 of 20mm cannons. A Focke-Wulf 190, having ignored Rabbit, has flashed past him, its guns blazing. "Kid, where are you?" No answer. "Kid, report." C.J. rolls his Mustang, his heart a lump of ice. He scans the sky. He sees Kid's P-51. It's climbing, but it's climbing straight up, its engine on fire. The pilot, the 9-year-old replacement, is trying to bail out. He's halfway out of the cockpit, but the 190, a new, long-nosed Dora, is on him. The German pilot doesn't let him jump. He fires a short, merciless burst. The P-51 explodes in a puff of red and black, vaporizing Kid and the plane. "Rabbit," C.J. screams, pure, unadulterated rage in his voice. "He's on your 6. "I'm hit, C.J. "I'm hit bad. I'm getting out of here." "Get out," C.J. says, his voice suddenly cold. He banks his Mustang, his own engine running rough from a flak hit, and looks at the burning smear of the 262 on the runway. He looks at the fading smoke trail that was Kid. He's done. He's turning for home. The debriefing is a carbon copy. Another kill. Another pilot lost. Thorne doesn't congratulate him. C.J. doesn't speak. He just drinks the whiskey Thorne offers him, the cheap liquor burning a path down his throat. "They're killing us just as fast as we're killing them, Major." C.J. whispers, staring into the cup. "It's a war of attrition, son," Thorne says. "No," C.J. says, standing up. "It's a war of survival. And those things, those jets, they're just getting started." January 14th, 1945. A frozen hard stand at Acma Airfield. It is 1,100 hours. The sky is a low, oppressive ceiling of iron-grey clouds. Oberleutnant, First Lieutenant, Hartmann Grolz, wishes it were darker. Daylight is no longer an advantage, it is a sentence. Hartmann is an expert, an ace with 78 victories, a veteran of the savage dogfights over the Kuban bridgehead. He has flown the agile Messerschmitt 109G until its wings almost fell off. He is 24 years old, and he is one of the last old men left. He is strapping into his Me 262, the Yellow 3. He hates this machine. Not for its speed that, he admits, is a miracle. He hates it for its fragility. He hates it because its Jumo 004 engines have a life expectancy of 20 hours, and he's at 19. He hates it because if he moves the throttle too fast, the engines will choke on their own fuel and erupt in flames. He hates it because his landing gear might not retract, or worse, not deploy. And most of all, he hates it because to fly it, he must first survive takeoff. "Ready, Herr Oberleutnant?" His crew chief, a 16-year-old boy, asks, his voice thin in the freezing wind. "Ready," Hartmann lies. He begins the startup sequence. The turbines whine to life, a high-pitched screaming wail that, to Hartmann, sounds like a banshee. He checks his main instruments. Fuel, 1,800 litres. Ammunition, 100 rounds for each of his 4 30mm cannons. And then he checks the new weapons. Under his wings, 24R-4M Orkan Hurricane rockets, nestled in wooden racks. They are unguided, simple, and utterly devastating. They are a shotgun blast for the sky. "Bandits! Bandits! Dicke Autos inbound! Sector 14. The airfield's alert speaker crackles. "Jabos! Jabos! On the field!" The attack has already begun. "Go! Weft! Go!" Hartmann screams into his radio, pushing his throttles forward with agonizing delicacy. He can't slam more. He has to nurse the turbines, begging them for power, as the ground around him begins to erupt. He sees a P-47 Thunderbolt, its ugly radial engine screaming flash across the runway, its 50 calibers chewing up a parked 262. Flak, his own Flak, is bursting so low it's a danger to him. This is the gauntlet. This is the rat-catcher's paradise. Yellow 3, you are clear. Max Schnell. Hartmann's 262 is finally moving. 100, 120, 150 kilometers per hour. The runway is pocked with fresh craters. He yaws to avoid one. His tail is up. He is lighter. A P-51 C.J. Harris's squadron flashes out of the clouds, diving on him. Hartmann sees the tracers. He feels the thud of 50 caliber rounds striking his tail. Too late, Americana. He snarls. He is at 200 kph. He pulls back. The 262, heavy with fuel and rockets, lifts reluctantly from the earth, its Jumo engines screaming. The P-51 is fast, it's turning, trying to get on his 6. Hartmann is in the worst possible position, low, slow, and climbing. He is a sitting duck, but for every second he's in the air, his speed builds. 300 kph, 400, 500. The P-51, which was gaining, is suddenly just there. It's not gaining anymore. Hartmann pushes his nose down slightly, keeps his flaps up, and just lets the Jumos run. 600, 700, 800 kph. He looks back. The P-51 is now a dot, a frustrated, angry dot, a mile behind and 2,000 feet below, with no hope of ever catching him. The pilot has given up, breaking off to look for slower prey. Hartmann climbs. He bursts through the grey socked-in layer at 8,000 feet and into the blinding, brilliant, impossible blue of the stratosphere. And just like that, everything changes. The fear is gone. The hate is gone. The terror of the flak and the fragile engines is gone. Up here, he is not a beached whale. He is God. He is at 28,000 feet. He is flying at 540 miles per hour. And below him, he sees them. A magnificent, terrible sight. A combat box of 50 B-17 flying fortresses, trailing white contrails, shimmering in the sun. And weaving protectively around them, 1,000 feet below, are the little friends. The P-51 seconds. Hartmann Grolz clicks his radio. Adler flight. I am in position. Commencing attack from 6 o'clock high. He noses the 262 over. He is not dogfighting. He is not engaging. He is executing. The P-51 seconds see him. He can see the sparkle of their canopies as they turn, frantically, to intercept. It is useless. It is pathetic. They are children on bicycles, chasing a locomotive. He accelerates in his dive. 600 miles per hour. The Mustangs are below him, trying to climb to him. He will pass them before their 50 caliber rounds can travel half the distance. He is not aiming for a Mustang. He is aiming for the center of the bomber formation. He closes. 2,000 meters. 1,000. 500. The bombers are huge in his gun sight. He ignores the 50 caliber hail from their tail guns. 1,000 meters. He flips the arming switch for the R4 Ms 600 meters. His thumb hovers over the button. The air is so thick with B-17 seconds, he cannot miss. He presses it. Whoosh. The 24 rockets leave their racks in a single, rippling 0.3 second salvo, a cloud of smoke and fire. They tear across the sky and plow into the heart of the B-17 formation. The result is apocalyptic. One B-17 is hit dead center and simply vanishes, its fuel and bomb load detonating. A second one, its wing sheared off by the blast, flips over and collides with the one below it. A third, its cockpit obliterated, lurches into a vertical dive. In 2 seconds, Hartmann Grolz has destroyed 3 heavy bombers and killed 30 men, and he hasn't even fired his cannons. He doesn't stop. He doesn't look back. He plunges through the now broken formation, selects another B-17, and opens fire with his 30mm cannons. The thump, thump, thump of the heavy shells is a physical percussion. He watches his orange softballs walk up the fuselage. The B-17's wing explodes. 4 bombers, 1 pass. He is now 5,000 feet below the formation. He pulls out, his speed still over 500 miles per hour, and extends, flying straight and level. No P-51 is near him. No one can touch him. He is the Sturmvogel. He is the impossible weapon. And for the first time, C.J. Harris's worst nightmare has been fully, terrifyingly realized. February 9th, 1945. 28,000 feet over Magdeburg. Christ, Full. It. Captain C.J. Harris can only watch, his Mustang shuddering at the very edge of its performance envelope, the air so thin his controls feel like they're submerged in mush. He is 5 miles away and 3,000 feet below the point of attack. He is, for all intents and purposes, in another dimension. He had been on high cover, a freelance patrol, when the call came. Bandits, bandits. Vectors 290, Angels 30, jets. He and Rabbit had pushed their Merlins to the brink, climbing, desperately trying to get into a position to help. And then they saw it. It wasn't a fight. It was an execution, just as Hartmann Grolz had intended. C.J. saw the cloud of smoke from the R-4M rockets. He saw the B-17 formation, so disciplined a moment before, simply come apart. He saw a fortress, the Mary Ellen, vaporize. He saw 2 others collide, their wings tangling in a graceful, horrible embrace before they began their final 10-minute fall to earth. He saw the Sturmvogel, a black shark against the sun, plunge through the formation, its 30mm cannons winking like orange stars. A 4th B-17, its entire tail section gone, fell into a flat spin. Boxcar leader to any bomber. Brake! Brake! C.J. screams into his radio, knowing it's useless. The jet, its pass complete, is now a speck, accelerating away, climbing. T.J. turns his Mustang, his rage a physical metallic taste in his mouth. He lines up his gun sight on the distant, impossible dot. He is miles out of range. He squeezes the trigger anyway, a futile, angry burst of 6 50-caliber machine guns, wasting his ammunition on the empty, cobalt blue sky. He's gone, C.J. Rabbit's voice crackles, pained and winded. He's just gone. The radio is a bedlam of screaming. Men, some of them 9-year-olds, are on fire, 28,000 feet from the ground. Men are counting parachutes, trying to identify their friends. I see chutes. I count, maybe 8, 9, God. From 4 planes. Did you see it? They were rockets. He fired rockets at us. Get a medic. My leg. C.J. yanks his Mustang into a brutal turn, his eyes scanning for other jets. There are none. There only needed to be one. The numbers are spinning in his head. 40 men. 40 men, killed or captured in C.J. Checks his watch, in less than 30 seconds. By one pilot. He and his squadron, the finest fighter pilots in the world, in the finest propeller-driven aircraft ever built, had been reduced to the role of horrified witnesses. The debriefing at Leiston is no longer tense. It is funereal. The room is packed. Bomber crews, still in their fleece-lined flight gear, are there. Fighter pilots are there. Even the group commander is there. The rumors of rockets are confirmed. Major Thorne has a chalkboard. He is a professor again. All right? He says, his voice flat, devoid of emotion. This is where we are. We can't fight them up there. He draws a line at the top of the board. The jet box, 25,000 feet and above. That is their sky. If you are a bomber, you are a target. If you are a P-51, you are a spectator, C.J. finishes, his voice hollow. Thorne nods, grimly. A spectator. Down here, he draws a second line. On the deck, takeoff and landing. That is our sky. This is the only place we can kill them. He draws a P-51 on one side and an Me-262 on the other. Today, Captain Harris's flight and 2 others from the 357th, we confirmed 3 262 seconds destroyed on the ground at Rhine. A few men clap, a weak, scattered sound. We also lost 4 P-51 seconds and their pilots to the flak alleys. Thorne says, and the clapping stops instantly. A 1-for-1 trade, or, rather, a 4-for-3. He turns to the bomber crews. Meanwhile, the one jet that Captain Harris just saw, he points at C.J., destroyed 4 B-17 seconds, 40 men. He taps the chalkboard. We are trading 1 P-51, 1 pilot, to kill 1 jet. The 1 jet that gets away kills 4 bombers. 40 men. This is not a winning equation. This is a losing one. We are losing this fight. Silence. The air is so thick, no one breathes. So what's the plan, Major? Rabbit asks, his voice raw. Do we just let them have the sky? No, the group commander says, stepping forward. We don't. The plan is total. He unrolls a new map. It shows not just the airfields. It shows railways, bridges, roads. From this moment, the rat catching is no longer your only mission. It is the mission. 8 Fighter Command is being unleashed. You are no longer escorts. You are to sweep the ground. If it moves, you kill it. You will hit their trains, their trucks, their fuel depots. You will strafe the flak batteries until they are silent. You will live at 50 feet. We will not let a single drop of fuel, a single spare part, a single pilot reach those airfields. We will starve them. We will strangle them in the cradle. We will break the flak alleys with pure brute force. C.J. looks at the map. He looks at the faces of his men. This isn't a nightly joust. It's not even an assassination. This is a brawl in a dark alley with broken bottles. The war, the commander says, will be won or lost in the next 90 days on the concrete runways of Handorf, Rhein, and Lechfeld. And you are the only ones who can win it. Dismissed. The pilots file out, not with grim determination, but with the quiet, resigned terror of men who have just been told to charge, on foot, directly into a machine gun. March 21st, 1945, 50 feet above the German countryside. The world is a violent, high-speed blur of green and brown. C.J. Harris's knuckles are white, his hand locked on the stick, not just to fly, but to survive. This is his 90th mission. He is 24 years old. He feels 60. He is no longer a fighter pilot. He is a farm equipment, destroying, train-busting, ground-pounding Jabberschreck. The new orders have turned the 8 Fighter Command into a swarm of angry, low-level hornets. C.J. and Rabbit are leading a flight of 16 Mustangs, a full sweep force. Their target is not a specific place. Their target is a 20-mile-wide box on the map, leading up to the flak alleys of Lechfeld. Their orders: destroy everything. Boxcar flight, line abreast. We're coming up on the rail line. CJ's voice is a flat mechanical bark over the radio. I see it, Rabbit calls. And, holy, skipper, it's a fuel train. Tally-ho. It's a half-mile long. A locomotive is frantically trying to get it into a tunnel. Boxcar red and blue, take the engine and the flak cars. Boxcar green and gold, you're with me. We hit the tankers. One pass, then reform. Watch the flak. C.J. lines up his pipper on a black tanker car. This is no deflection shooting. This is just shooting. The train's own flak car, a simple flatbed with a 20mm quad goon, opens up, spitting a desperate, lazy-looking stream of tracers. C.J. doesn't even jink. He presses the trigger. His 250 seconds roar. He watches his tracers, bright and deadly, walk up the side of the tanker. The explosion is not a pop. It is a thump that he feels in his chest, a massive concussion wave of fire that blossoms 500 feet into the air. The shock wave hits his Mustang, throwing him sideways, and his cockpit is momentarily filled with the searing heat and the smell of raw, burning fuel. He pulls up, hard, his plane shuddering. Targets destroyed. Jesus. Red lead. You good? I think so. A pilot from another flight gasps. The locomotive is just gone. It's a crater. They have spent 12 minutes. They have destroyed 1 million gallons of jet fuel. They have probably done more to stop the Me-262 than a month of high-altitude dogfights. This is the new war. Reform. Boxcar. C.J. calls, his throat dry. We're not done. On to the airfield. They arrive at Lechfeld, and the sky turns black. The flak alleys are no longer just alleys. They are a dome of death. The Germans, with no fuel to fly and no tanks to move, have turned every 88mm gun they have skyward. 16, I count, 262 seconds parked on the hard stand. Rabbit reports, his voice tight. They're just sitting there, Skipper. No fuel. Full. They're just targets. It's a trap, Rabbit, CJ says. They're a decoy. They want us to come in low and slow. They'll... Wait, 2 o'clock. Taking off. It's a single 262. A rookie pilot, desperate, making a run for the sky, the only place he's safe. He's mine, CJ. Growls. Rabbit, on me. Everyone else, hit the flak towers. Hit the guns, not the planes. This is the new tactic. It is suicide. C. J and Rabbit dive. The other 14 Mustangs peel off, their .50 calibers blazing, flying directly at the 88mm gun emplacements. A deadly game of chicken. The flak is indescribable. It's not a wall. It's a solid object. It's a substance that CJ is flying through. His plane is hit, thwack, 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 the sound of a fist hitting sheet metal. His oil pressure gauge flickers. Skipper, your engine. It'll hold. Keep your eyes on the jet. The 262 is up. Its gear is retracting. It's in that horrible, vulnerable, low-speed climb. The pilot, probably 18 years old, is looking back, his eyes wide with terror. C.J. is closing, 1,000 yards. 800. Flaks, heavy. C.J., I can't. I'm a hit. I'm hit and I'm out. Rabbit screams, his Mustang breaking away, trailing glycol. C.J. is alone. He's at 600 yards. The pipper is steady. He squeezes. His tracers hit the 262's right engine. The Jumo flames out, not with a cinematic explosion, but with a pathetic, sputtering cough of black smoke. The 262, suddenly asymmetrical, its pilot fighting the rudder, yaws violently. It's not enough. The jet is still flying. Die! CJ screams, a word he's never said in combat. He holds the trigger down, his guns hammering, and walks his fire straight into the cockpit. The 262's canopy shatters. The plane snaps, stalls, and falls back to the earth, crashing directly onto the hard stand with the other decoy planes. Kill! Kill on 262! C.J. yells, yanking his stick back, his Mustang groaning. He's through the flak. He's out. He rendezvous with his squadron, or what's left of it. Boxcar, report. He calls, his voice shaking. Rabbit, I'm here. Engines shot. I think I can make it to the lines. Pops, I'm on fire, CJ. I'm not going to make it. Tell. The radio cuts to static. This is Red 3. I'm hit. Red 4 is gone. He hit the tower. C.J. does the math. They started with 16. He has 7. They destroyed 1 fuel train, countless flak guns, 1 jet in the air, and maybe 6 on the ground. And they lost 9 P-51 seconds. He limps his own Miss Mary Lou, its Merlin coughing and spitting oil, back across the Rhine. He has killed the impossible weapon. But it's not a victory. He finally understands. This isn't a fight of skill. It's not about angels or ghosts. It's a brutal industrial equation. It is a war of attrition. The Germans, with their 20-hour engines, no fuel, and 10-hour pilots, are finished. C.J. Harris, with his 90 missions, is just one of thousands of pilots. The Mary Ellen B-17 he saw vaporized. It and its crew had already been replaced by 2 new B-17 seconds and 20 new men, fresh from the States. The Me-262 wasn't a wonder weapon that could win the war. It was just a beautiful, terrible, impossible machine that was destined to be crushed under the sheer, ugly, unstoppable weight of American steel. April 10th, 1945. 2,000 feet over a forest north of Munich. The ground is no longer Germany. It is an advancing, amoeba-like map of Allied-controlled territory. General Patton's tanks are 50 miles to the west. The Russians are 100 miles to the east. The sky, from the ground to 40,000 feet, belongs to the 8th Air Force, C.J. Harris is leading a 4-ship flight of P-51 seconds on an armed reconnaissance mission. The very term is a euphemism. There is no resistance. This is a victory lap, a dangerous mop-up operation. C.J. has 103 missions. He has survived. He has outlasted the Flak, the 109 seconds, and the Flak alleys. He is now, simply, trying not to die in the last stupid week of the war. Boxcar. Spread it out, he calls, his voice a permanent, tired rasp. We're looking for, well, anything that moves. Rabbit, check that highway. Roger, skipper, dropping down. Rabbit, his Mustang Deuces Wild, patched and repaired so many times it's more aluminum than paint, drops to treetop level. Skipper, you are not going to believe this. What is it, Rabbit? Tanks? No, it's a 262, on the Autobahn, and it's being refueled by a horse. C.J. banks his Mustang and drops down to see. It is the single, most surreal, and most pathetic sight of his entire war. The mighty Sturmvogel, the ghost that had haunted his dreams, is parked on a stretch of concrete highway. Its mottled green camouflage is perfect, but its logistical chain, the mighty German war machine, is gone. A wooden cart, pulled by a sway-backed horse, is parked next to it. Men in mismatched uniforms are pouring fuel from jerry cans into the Jumo engine's nacelle. The 21st century weapon, grounded, defeated by a 19th century supply line. My God, C.J. whispers. He's a museum piece. Orders, skipper, Rabbit asks. C.J. hesitates. There's no Flak. The crew below, seeing the Mustangs, has already scattered, running for the trees. The horse, terrified, is rearing. Boxcar, line abreast, one pass. Let's just end this. It's not combat. It is, as C.J. thinks of it, putting an animal down. The 4 P-51 seconds sweep in. C.J. doesn't even use his gun sight. He just hoses the 262, the 50 caliber shells ripping through the delicate, futuristic airframe. The jet, which had survived 550 mph combat, is shredded at 0 miles per hour. It sags on its landing gear, and a small, almost polite, fire begins to lick at its fuselage. They pull up, the mission complete. Boxcar leader to command. C.S. calls. 1. Me. 262. Destroyed on ground, no resistance. And then, as if summoned by the gods of irony, the radio explodes. Mayday! Mayday! B, 26 seconds. 5th bomb wing. We are under attack. Jets. A whole swarm of them. 15,000 feet. Sector. 4. Alpha. C.J.'s blood runs cold. Boxcar, drop tanks, full emergency power. We're climbing. They climb. Their Merlins screaming, pushing against air that is too thick, too slow. C.J. sees it, 10,000 feet above them. It is the last great defiant gasp of the Luftwaffe. It's Jagdverband 44, the squadron of experts. Adolf Galan's personal unit, a collection of the highest-scoring aces of the Reich, all flying 262 seconds. They are the best pilots in the world, in the best aircraft in the world. C.J. watches, helpless, as a dozen 262 seconds, flown by masters, dive on the B-26 Marauder formation. There are no rockets. This is not a pass. This is a dogfight. The 262 seconds, throttles open, are climbing through the formation, their 30mm cannons turning the sky into a junyard. They are looping, rolling, and fighting in a way C.J. has never seen. We can't reach them, Rabbit yells. They're too high, too fast. They're beautiful, C.J. says, mesmerized. A B-26 explodes. Then another. The escort fighters, P-47 seconds, are swarming, but they are swatting at ghosts. But the sky over Germany in April 1945 is no longer empty. Boxcar, look, 12 o'clock high. High. C.J. looks up, and he sees more, a wave of silver. 30, 40, 50, P-51 seconds from the 332nd, the red tails, are plunging from 30,000 feet. They have been waiting, they have been hunting. The 262 seconds, their attack complete, are now low on fuel, their engines sluggish at this altitude. They scatter, trying to use their speed to escape. It's no use, the sky is full of Mustangs. C.J. watches as 262, its right engine trailing smoke, tries to dive for the ground. He sees 2, 3, 5 red tails get on its tail. The 262 pilot is a god. He jinks, he rolls, he outturns them. But he cannot outrun them all. He's forced to brake. A young lieutenant in a P-51, on his 10th mission, gets a lucky deflection shot. The 262's wing tears off. The expert, an ace with 200 victories, spirals down, a final burning testament. The great jet attack is over. It lasted 3 minutes. C.J. Harris orbits, his plane trembling. He looks at the 262 burning on the autobahn below. He looks at the smoke trails from the B-26 seconds. He looks at the parachute of the P-51 pilot who was, in turn, shot down. It's over. The Stormbird is dead. It was never a wonder weapon. It was a prophecy. A glimpse of the future. It told the Allied pilots, C.J. Harris, and the entire world what was coming. It showed them that the era of the Roaring Merlin, the Propeller, the dogfight waltz, was over. The jet age was here. The Me-262, the impossible ghost, hadn't changed the outcome of this war, but it had started the next one. C.J. turns his Mustang, its nose pointing west, toward home. "Boxcar," he says, his voice quiet, final. "Let's go home."